Chapter 9, Magic Skies. Alien Mind Breaker. An estimated 400 billion stars make up the Milky Way galaxy, which means there are 400 billion chances that we are not alone. Please stare at the picture for 30 seconds without moving your focus while answering the questions below. Do your best to focus only on the image during the exercise. Where are you located in the picture? Where are you located now? Is it possible to be in two different realities simultaneously? Is it possible to focus on two different realities simultaneously? Most cannot look at the picture while answering the question. The more aware you become of the worlds outside and inside of you, the more your consciousness expands. The more your consciousness expands, the more you can effectively communicate with intelligent life from other dimensions. Journal entry, 6th contact, July 2006. Before bed, I received an impulse to drive toward Patterson Hills. The city of Patterson is about an hour and 15 minutes away from Oakland. When I arrived, I exited where there were fewer city lights. Then, I turned off the main road and drove into the hills. The zigzagging of uneven roads leads to deep swirls and bumps of Mother Earth. As mild fear ignited inside me, the road thrilled me. I was convinced not to detour following the path. Although my Nissan Maxima was not equipped with a four-wheel drive, I decided, as usual, to make a go of driving on the dirt road. The road was almost too much to handle for my stable city living. With sizable bumps and deep turns, parts of the road were very challenging. These obstacles did not detour me, of course. The rockets of lights in the Patterson hillsides made me appreciate sustaining the coldest weather I can remember. The night temperatures routinely dropped into the low 40s and often 30s during my winter treks in California. I spent long hours curled up around mountains or hillsides, fighting the cold. Although I bundled up the best I could, the winter temperatures penetrated my bones. I envied cold mountain campers who survived below freezing days without dying. There was a science to staying warm that I hadn't mastered. However, I received minor benefits during these challenging times. My neck muscles became as strong as an ox from looking up into the sky, and I could endure punishing cold for extended periods. I opened the sunroof and found an excellent spot to forge into the unknown. I smiled as I reeled in the spectacles of electricity high above. I watched the stars from the comfort of my car to keep warm. Locked in a gaze, I leaned uncomfortably out the window, but I could no longer see the entire sky. I lost my connection with the stars. My bridge to the universe was fading into the ethers. It was like camping in a tent compared to sleeping in a cabin while trying to watch the stars, smell the fresh mountain air, and listen to happy critters in the woods. What you experience outdoors becomes lost. While the stars pulsated on a memorable night, they danced to the silent drums of the galaxy. I was surrounded by nature. Glowing peaks sharpened with remnants of the stars' infinity undressed my mind. My eyes began to wander. I looked around to see if something or someone would appear out of thin air. Suddenly, a shooting star scribbled across the blackboard of the night. I smiled when I observed another shining jewel crease the black static with piercing light. Every time my emotions reached their apex of heightened anticipation, a progression of streaking silver light zipped across the sky. For the next 3 hours, the sperm of the solar system glowed with immeasurable divine order and streaking flare. The matrix lit fire to my spirit with blistering lights of intelligence to elevate my understanding of the correlation between twinkling stars, the Matronic Sphere, and my internal guidance system. My universal IQ expanded to confidently knowing when. Alien life forms were attempting to contact me, and they always knew where I was. They appeared to be all connected. As I fixated on the stars, immediately, I felt like I was being watched. The familiar feeling has accompanied me often. Who is watching me? I have no idea. Maybe the advanced societies that I have been contacting. The chilly night of 20 and 30-degree temperatures also induced a magnetic surge of energy that made me believe I would experience something exceptional. At the height of my anticipation, a progression of stars would shoot through the sky every 5 to 10 minutes. With great accuracy, I could detect when the next flare would dart through space in an hour. My accurate predictions were based purely on the emotions I was feeling in my gut. I was connected to the shooting stars. Oddly, although streaking across the atmosphere from multiple directions, heaven's glowing gifts had one major common denominator. They traveled directly over my car, and many at very low altitudes without exception. During the peak of their unrest, some dashes of lights flew so close that I had to duck numerous times. The close encounters raised significant questions. When meteor showers travel through Earth's atmosphere, are all the particles moving at the same speed and direction? Why did the speed of each shooting star significantly vary when I learned in school that objects moving through space maintain the same orbit and speed until affected or redirected by an outside force? Why was I the center of all the stars' activity? Did the shooting stars contradict the laws of space and matter by moving at substantially different speeds? Many stars were traveling toward me from opposite directions of the sky and crossing paths. The abnormal movement of the dances of lights had me scratching my head. By the end of my travels, the night produced 53 shooting stars. I had only seen 1 or 2 shooting stars over 3 years in other locations on previous nights. At first, I believed a giant comet was passing by. The stars were jumping out of the sky like popcorn. There was something odd about the celestial immigrants. A wave of positive emotion would whip around inside me before a shooting star appeared. A similar good feeling drove me to head off the main road in the cover of darkness. Fear and uncertainty always light a fire to my adventure. Journal entry ends. Patterson Hill's explosion of shooting stars occurred every time I surveyed the sky for the following year. I had witnessed hundreds of streaking stars and debris before concluding that many shooting stars were extraordinarily different from others. Some stars were controlled or in control of their trajectory as they lasered through the air. Furthermore, some select stars appeared to be used to communicate with me by an unknown advanced society with exceptional capabilities. My discoveries would only pick up speed. As I concluded with many of my early adventures, sections of the sky seemed to move in ways that disturbed my rational mind. At this time in my UFO discoveries, I believed this was an impossible act, contradicting everything I had learned in school. I had no idea I was standing at the front door to uncover a much larger piece of evidence proving the existence of an artificial sphere surrounding Earth. Six months after Patterson Hill's abundant shooting stars in 2003, the operators made one of the most impactful contacts. My soul turned to dust. I detailed the starry introduction of the Matronic Sphere after the AIien mindbreaker below. AIien mindbreaker. 2 ants are in a museum searching for food on the ground and start to get tired. They rest briefly, look up, and see a ceiling painted with beautiful stars and planets.
Is that the night sky?
How can they determine if the stars and planets authentically shine millions of miles away or are merely paintings? They must ask astronomers. They have to climb up to the ceiling, ask a human. Or assume the stars are real and keep working. 7th contact, journal entry, February 2005, 3 a.m. My knowledge about the universe no longer exists. There was no way to prepare. No one could. Tilden Park has been my special place to visit since I was young. The twisty roads of Berkeley, California, led to my favorite spot to relax and drain my brain. The quiet, woodsy location provides a good bench and a cement parking area. The bleak sight keeps the city lights from ruining a good night of stargazing. I always hoped to see a spaceship shoot out of the sky and travel down and greet me. My friends would think I was loony if they discovered that I detoured to go home a few nights after hanging out. Instead of sleeping in my warm bed, I watched the bright glowing dots in the sky and connected with the universe. After I parked, I heard a car full of kids. They were laughing and playing their music extremely loud. They are acting like it's New Year's Eve. Immediately, my desire to stay at my favorite lookout dwindled. I patiently waited for them to leave for over an hour. I drove to another location when they didn't comply with my silent wishes. I parked a mile or two down the road. It was a parking lot again, owned by East Bay Mud. East Bay Mud is a water and utility company that owns much of the open land in East Bay, which cops and security guards guard. Surveillance makes the parking lot hazardous for a trespasser to stay too long. But the dark lots was empty, which made it an excellent place to watch the bright fruit of the universe in the sky. I can feel a grand finale. The beings I have been developing relationships with often reward me with special events at the night's end. I call these events the grand finale. A grand finale stirs my emotions with pristine satisfaction. For example, the stars can twirl and dance in various patterns or shoot across the sky on my drive home. Each grand finale gives the unseen a personality, a taste of the aliens, humor, and thinking. That's how I perceive it. I feel like they are always watching, no matter where I am. I sat on the hood of my car and allowed the silver glow of the moon and stars to caress me. The moon was 3/4 of the way full. The cold chill of the 40-degree night accentuates the brilliance of the stunningly clear air. I was shivering like a wet dog when I detected movement above me. Thrilled to be alone, I quickly popped open my trunk and pulled out my cold night gear. Using my P-vision, also known as peripheral vision, I saw the most massive star in the sky moving from the corner of my eye. Surprisingly, the sizable star appeared to descend slowly from its natural position in the constellations. Immediately, I froze. At first, I thought it was a small plane beginning to land, but when I looked directly at the star, I was stunned when the star stopped moving. Seconds later, the star continued to sway slowly back and forth in place, but at a significantly lower altitude. I became confused. My heartbeat accelerated as quickly as a race car, taking off at the start of the race. How could the superior light that should be a star drop from the highest position in the air and hang 30 to 40 feet above the trees at the edge of the parking lot? The star appeared to control its soundless movements and ultimate destination. Moments later, I turned away from the giant star. I wanted to see if it would continue to descend if I looked away. Still intensely observing it using my P-vision, the star began to lower. It was slowly closing the distance between us. As it moved, I became unsettled and nervous. The star could move without sound, and stars are supposed to be millions of miles away. Immediately, questions started flying into my mind. I thought about the speed at which a star would have to travel from outer space to reach me this quickly. But that doesn't make sense. Most stars are suns and planets, and the Earth would be destroyed instantly if an actual sun came this close. And how could a star could look so tiny from only 40 feet away? Like an owl, I looked sharply around to see if other lights were traveling down from the sky. In a significant revelation, I discovered that all the constellations, glittery possessions, also lowered from the velvet black sky. I became terrified and thrilled as I watched. They lowered swiftly around me and moved together like a large canopy of blinking lights. I nearly lost my mind. The pitch black sky and luminous stars turned into beautiful adornments. I fell into a light panic, back into the hood of my car, and tried to slow my heavy breathing. A kingdom of lights had fallen into the domain of my scariest dreams. Yet their lights beamed with hope as they vibrated and moved together as they surrounded me. The Big Dipper, the Small Dipper, and the entire constellations formed a small dome around my vehicle. When the constellations reached approximately 10 feet above me, I became compressed with fear, as if the stars had turned into 1,000 pounds of rhinestones and began to crush me. I began shivering excessively. I must remain calm. Be strong, I demanded. Be brave. You're building a relationship with intelligent life forms beyond Earth. Hopefully, they mean you no harm. When I convinced myself to relax, a condensed layer of silence was all I heard. I opened my eyes wide. I shrank down in my thick jacket. I would not be shocked if a door opened within the inky canopy of fake stars and an alien walked out and greeted me. The grand event shredded my once wholesome reality into threads of uncertainty, but the ungodly projections of light injected my soul with new truth. The glittery lights stopped their descent, only 5 feet away from my face and 7 feet above me. The sparkly lights appeared to be held in position by an untraceable field composed of the fabric of the night sky. No one would distinguish the blinking, vibrating lights from true stars. The intimately lit ambers must be the most genius creation ever formed. Capsized galaxy of lights disabled my courage to move. Then, the most abundant blinking light swayed my attention. The largest and most active star was the first I noticed dropping from the sky to greet me, as it wobbled and shifted in place with much larger actions than the rest of the active lights. It appeared to be the ringleader. There appeared to be an organized disorder and awareness of the lights. They seemed to communicate by shifting continuously in place, back and forth for some and side to side for others, all of whom continuously moved toward their bright companions. The closer the stars inched toward each other, the more lustrously they shined, vibrated, and blinked faster. It was as if the flickering lights, stitched in the fabric of possibly an artificial space and time, were intelligent life forms. I felt like a prominent council of intelligent beings in the form of lights had descended upon me. I also felt they were peaceful and almost playful. However, they displayed and expressed nothing based on an earthly definition to explain what I sensed as playfulness. Their actions inspired more questions, determined to overcome my initial fears. I turned around slowly to see if the dome of lights was covering me completely. Surprisingly, the fake dome of stars was positioned only halfway around me and my car. When I leaned back and looked into the abyss of our atmosphere, I was happy to see the moon casting a luminous ocean of light high in the sky. Somehow, the real stars were still shining bright behind the dome of its imposters. The apparent natural stars were more vibrant than I had observed in years. The atmosphere had far more clarity with less static, haze, dust, fragments of clouds or fog that I have grown accustomed to observing. I finalized a short stint of listening to my mental chatter and investigating the sky behind me when a feeling came over me that I couldn't ignore. Whoever controls the bite-sized sample of the Milky Way galaxy surrounding me, I thought, was giving me a chance to speak. I did my best to project a shadow of confidence and stood very erect. I controlled my fear and excessive shivering. I took off my skull cap and held it tightly in my hand. Then, I addressed the star-filled audience. My first words struck the frigid night with innocence and conviction. I was ready to share my self-worth with the dome of visitors. Thank you for taking the time to visit. I know you guys are taking a chance to show me so much. Many nights since the last time you showed up on the green ship, I've been patiently waiting to meet you. Whoever you are and wherever you come from, you can trust me. Although I may not have your wisdom and knowledge, there's still much I can offer. Do you know everything about the universe? I don't think so. We can benefit from each other. Millions of people on Earth want to connect with other civilizations just as much as I do. What an excellent opportunity to have someone like me become an ambassador for Earth. There's more than technological intelligence to appreciate in the universe. Artistic intelligence, acting and dancing also have benefits. I'm good at things like that. I have a lot to offer. Give me a chance. Let's build on what we've started. Either way, thank you for all that you have shared. At the end of my passionate and inspirational message, the artificial sky and constellations slowly elevated back to their original position. They covered up the actual constellation of stars. It took only 2 to 3 minutes for the artificial dome of stars to return to their resting place of glory. The temporary HD clear views were again distorted with a dense static and darker energy field. Deep in my bones, I knew whoever was responsible for bringing down the constellations had heard my final thoughts. It was as though the sky winked at me with pulsating electrical poets as I stood underneath it and watched it rise. I was satisfied, but still hoping to meet the beings who formed and controlled the alien intelligence sphere. I could barely get back into my car without melting into tears when the terrifying yet affectionate communication with the alien sphere ended. I attempted to drive home, but couldn't drive more than a few blocks, so I pulled over to gather my senses and emotions. I felt like my soul had imploded. I called a close friend to help me navigate through the mind-blowing emotions. When they answered the phone, I could barely move my lips. I sounded like a shaken, blissful little boy. I told them that strange lights bombarded my soul, clearing the way for me to understand that our reality is false. The entire constellations of stars came down over me so close I could touch them. A large intelligence field supports our planet, directed and maintained by at least one unearthly group of alien beings, and nobody knows about it. I tried not to cry and sob as I explained the unexplainable and labored to speak rationally. I got off the phone to face my anguish and uncertainty alone. My mind battled with understanding the magnificent event. My soul and brain were ripping apart. Everything I had learned about the sun, moon, and stars was lost. We are taught that the sun will rise tomorrow, and it always has, even before the first human was supposedly created. We know there will always be stars and a moon visible on most clear nights. Unconsciously, We lean heavily on these certainties, as they are the platform for creating and experiencing life on Earth. From the time we are young until we die, the massive and infinite fixtures in our sky become the foundation to dream, give birth, grow old, die, and live. So you can become disoriented when a sky full of stars lowers to your feet. You lose your ability to define a genuine reality. Before daylight, the artificial sphere is utterly undetectable from higher elevations unless the beings operating it allow you to see it. Even then, it's barely detectable when it lowers to lower elevations. This is when you will have the best chance to notice the clouds or stars appearing to float together, as though floating on the surface of a lake. The clouds will appear caught in the atmosphere web like they're on an invisible clothesline in the sky. When the twinkling fake stars capture your attention up close, the mind may have difficulty believing what you are witnessing. When the beings from unknown parts of the universe first allowed me to see the artificial constellations up close, I fought what I had been taught as absolute truth. Stars are millions of miles away, and our sky can never be replaced. So I asked myself, if most believe stars are millions of miles away, if the sky fell to the ground before them, would they believe there was an artificial sky? Would most have a nervous breakdown and go insane? Journal entry ends. Alien mindbreaker. How can stars millions of miles away fall into my lap? Do world leaders know about the Matronic Sphere? And why would they tell the public if they do?
The future is not a distant
Why would a
promise.
race of unknown intelligent beings duplicate the constellations?